Warrior, do not dance with the devil. Dancing with the devil seems to be all around us these days. I want you to hear me out. I, on purpose, stay away from certain words that a lot of people use when talking about anything to do with abuse, sexual exploitation, human trafficking, sex trafficking, labor trafficking. That's just me. I want to put a warning out before I start talking about this. Warning. You may not like what you're about to hear, but no, it could be sensitive to you. It could be, to use the word trigger, set off emotions. But then again, all of the things we talk about here on The Warriors could do that. But here's what I have to say to you, that this is the reality in 2024. Dancing with the devil. There is, and I've always thought this, but I never actually said it out loud, expressed it. There is evil all around us. With the work we do at the Warriors, I can feel it circling us, circling you, circling our country, circling our world, if you want to go that far. We at the Warriors primarily stick to what's happening right in our own homes and communities because, to me, that is the most important. People will say to me, "What are you?" And I'll say, "I'm an American." But we'll leave that for another program. Dancing with the devil. Starting my career straight out of college in the music business, I saw so many things that only decades later I realized were really other things, primarily exploitation, abuse. Now, I never wanted to be a performer. That was never on my agenda. I was more into music production, writing of music, working with musicians, working with ad agencies to secure accounts because I worked in the jingle business, which is, at the time, live music. You went in a studio with musicians and you wrote that music out and you created a demo and you shopped it to the ad agency and they'd pick on a couple of different firms. This is how it used to work, a la late 70s, early 80s. A couple of companies would be called, okay, create a demo. We'll give you X amount of dollars, usually not a lot, to create this demo. But you'd go full force because you knew if you spent the money, you got the musicians. Remember, we use musicians that are all part of the union, so they're a union scale, union wages. You booked the studio. You tried to stay in the budget, but I'm telling you, that $1,500 that was usually the fee, or $2,500 in there somewhere, didn't really always cover everything. But the end game was securing an account, doing the actual full-scale commercial, the music with the musicians, and having it play over and over again on radio and television. And then you made your money. So I was never to get back to that, seeking to be a performer. I do remember, though, because we would hire singers as well, if it required that many of these young women, I remember seeing them, and there were young men too, they were just so on and so perky and so peppy and smiley. And I understand you're supposed to be that way. It's positive energy. It's infectious. You want to get the job. Fast forward, stay with me on this. I got into Broadway producing, off-Broadway producing, film scores, different things. Again, I never wanted to be a performer, so I wasn't in that area. I was on the other side of it. And I would see how these young people in particular would be so desperate, anything to be near celebrity, to be near stardom, the hunger, they would sell their souls. I saw parents who would sell their children, push those kids. I heard verbal abuse coming out of parents' mouths to children when they didn't know who I was, or I was listening behind the scenes, sort of you're going to go out there, you're going to get that job, your family wants to eat, totally abusive. This was just how it went. The days in 2024 of Hollywood, celebrity, it's gone. It's gone. You know it. I know it. It does not exist anymore. Everybody can be a celebrity by virtue of the internet. You can go on OnlyFans. You can create, your TikTok account. TikTok, by the way, is the only platform the Warriors were not on. I can't really explain to you why I'm not on it. I never wanted to be on it. I just never wanted to be on it. I know it is one of the top platforms for kids. People love it. There was something about it that always rubbed me the wrong way. I did not want to be on it. Therefore, the Warriors, we are not on it. So I come across the other day, and I've heard about these things. TikTok influencers, right? You can make tons of money. You can be an influencer. That's the new celebrity. It should not be celebrity anymore. It should be influencer. How many followers can you get? Does anybody remember the days where you could buy followers? I personally never did it, but I would watch other people's accounts. And I'm going back to 2009, 10, 11, 12. I was constantly solicited. Never did it, but I'd watch people's accounts and I'd see like these steady numbers. For instance, one account, I'd see every day they went up 500. Now, come on. They're buying followers. Then another account every day was going up 1,000. And I'd be like, for that content? And these were just people talking, by the way. It wasn't anything that we weren't seeing. It wasn't tremendous dancing and singing and all that. And I thought they're buying their followers. Okay, fast forward now. I don't even know if you can still, I guess you can probably still do that if you're connected and hooked in and have a PR marketing firm doing, yeah, you can still do that actually. What do you think? The faux celebrities, influencers, I think a lot of them do that today, but let's keep that under my hat for now. So let's move forward to the drive. These people want to be famous. They want to be in the spotlight. They are driven. They will do anything. Fast forward, vulnerability like that leads to predators, abuse. They know predators are smart. The predation comes on many different levels. From so many times, I was just presented with a story where there was a video circulating of somebody well-known director who gets women to audition online and strip their clothes off. Now, what women are doing this? That says to me this is desperation for, being involved in show business. I come across, and I heard about them, management company 7M, run by a pastor, Robert Shinn, out in Los Angeles. And I see that Netflix puts out a documentary. So I start watching this 3-part documentary. And I am urging all of you to watch it. I am urging all of you to show it to your children who have the showbiz bug, bite, whatever you want to call it. If you are so inclined and want to push your child into this, it is a dangerous field filled with predators. Again, I want you to watch this on Netflix. It is called Dancing with the Devil. This pastor, for decades, has had a church out in Los Angeles. I guess I could start a Warriors church. You just start it and start preaching and get followers. Something to think about. But right now, we're doing this. So this is our Warriors church, if I may say so. Our Warriors gathering, our Warriors full of power and knowledge and vetting, like positive. So many people, as you know, hide behind the guise of being a church. This documentary, 3-part documentary, Dancing with the Devil, is about TikTok influencers that have joined this church. Now, it so happens, and this is the truth, a lot of people fled out to LA. It was the place, if you were into dance, it was very much, I will say 10 years ago, it became like the hip hop scene, music videos, musical artists, you could be their background dancers, all kinds of open dance at dance studios. People were flocking there for things like, not Dancing with the Stars. I think you can dance, all those dance programs. Trying to get involved, that became the epicenter in Los Angeles. That is the truth. So a lot of these, and this is also the truth, when TikTok and some of these other platforms, you could gain a lot of followers in the beginning. You could make some money with brand deals, partnership, and it was always with How many followers do you have? How many likes do you have? What's your traffic? So somebody who's a creative, and they point this out in the documentary, they want to dance, they want to perform. That's in their blood. They don't have time to sit and to reach out to companies to do all, because remember, we live in this society, gimme, 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 gimme more. And it started a good 10 years ago online, if not a little more, of constant contact. We're going to ignore that phone ringing in the background because I forgot to turn off the landline. At any rate, so a lot of them would say, when I was presented with an opportunity for a management company who wanted 20% of my earnings, and they would produce the content, they would edit it, they would put it online, they would reach out, they would get me the brand deals. For 20%, of course I'd do it. That's a normal deal, 20% for management. So there was a young guy, a videographer and into production named Isaiah Shin. And Isaiah Shin said, hey, he got to know a lot of these dancers, and he said, I can do all that for you. As a matter of fact, let me help you. That's how it kind of started, very innocently. And a lot of these dancers knew him, knew of his work, did good work, nothing questionable yet. But then as he started bringing them home, he lived with his family in Los Angeles. The dad, Robert Shinn, pastor of Shekinah Church. Also, a lot of these young people would say, wow, your dad, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, your dad's really knowledgeable about business. He owns several businesses in addition to being a pastor. We really like him. He's nice to us. We'll seek his knowledge. The father said, okay, I'm going to be a pastor, but I'm also going to start a management company, 7M, and I'm going to take all these dancers and work with them. Now, as he worked with them, 20% fee, that's normal. But here's what I want to point out. This documentary points out, is this a cult of TikTok dancers? In my opinion, it sure seems that way. A dancer who moved in years ago, a young woman, had a lawsuit in 2011 alleging sexual abuse from this pastor, Robert Shinn. That was dismissed. If we didn't have this documentary and the two sisters, Melanie and Miranda, who together were performing, one sister went, the church was very intense in LA, so she came back home, beautiful, seemingly parents, beautiful house in Detroit, everything going for them, support. The one sister stayed, Miranda, and started just cutting off her family, changed her looks, cut off her family, started saying strange things when these two sisters were like that. And the one sister did go out there, the younger sister, to follow her sister in the beginning, but just didn't like it because these dinners thrown by this Robert Shinn were very much about, you're a sinner, you're going to hell, you have to break away from your family, everything you know, you have to change it up, or else you are going to hell. And this was the message pounded into their heads. The one sister, she left and went back home. She said, this is not for me. And the other sister stayed. The other sister even married another dancer. Her family never knew, but they were following her on TikTok. The point of what I'm telling you all this about is I advise you to watch this, number one, to share it with your age-appropriate teens, young adults that want to get into influencing, want to get into showbiz, if I can use that term, which I don't even like using anymore. It's fake, it's phony, and more than ever, the predation. To me, this pastor, Robert Shinn, there is a case going on right now. A collection of the dancers are suing. The women have come forward. They did suffer sexual abuse by this man. Also, when you look at the monies, there were legitimate deals made for things like Nike, music videos. They would deposit X amount of dollars in the account of each of the dancers, but then they would take from them 20% management fee. Okay, we established that's normal. Be 10% for the church this, 10% for the church that, 10% for the church that. They would be living in homes or apartments owned by Robert Shinn, the pastor, and his wife. His daughter was also there, and I mentioned his son Isaiah, who was doing the production. And they would have to pay rent. So everything pretty much to the tune of one of the people was getting an $80 every 2 weeks allowance. To me, that is labor trafficking. Again, they were all 18 plus, not children. Constant, and beautifully done videos of dancing. Makeup, hair, all that stuff. But constant contact. So there is a lawsuit that I just learned was fairly recently dismissed again with the dancers not proving, as some of the women came forward, the more current group, to say sexual abuse. Why aren't we believing? Why aren't we believing the bank statements that are there that show money's put in, where all the monies went? We need a stronger case of laws in this country. Human trafficking, labor trafficking. This is a clear-cut case, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Of what is going on here. If this family from Detroit did not bring this to the attention, Rolling Stone brought it to the attention, I don't know, over a year ago. There is this case, which started because the family of Miranda, and again, I'm going to have the information in the body of this video, they could not reach her. And the couple of text messages they eventually did get from her did not sound like her. She's being controlled. Is this a cult? This Shekinah Church? Sure sounds like it. There's a lot more like this going on in the United States, of the abuse of people who want to be in this entertainment field, dancing, singing, everything. If your child is so inclined, please let them be at least 18. Please be there every step of the way for them. Please do your research. Please, at all costs, I've never said this before, try to discourage them, because I'm seeing such escalation, this predation, and nothing, it's growing. And why, you ask? Because there's so much money to be made. So under the guise of Shekinah Church, we're intensely a small, close-knit community that's going to do Bible study, and we're all going to learn. We're going to dance for our lives, because we don't want to go to hell, do we? Our young people, their minds are vulnerable. You know this. We have a youth mental health crisis. We have a mental health crisis for everybody in the United States, well documented. Their minds, how easily they grasp onto something. They're looking for something. Don't be fooled. Don't dance with the devil. There's a lot of devils around us, sucking on our good energy. Not on my watch, not on your watch, because our hashtag is community creates change. I give you a warning. This is the most important year of our lives. Don't let evil win. Start in your own home and community. Do what you can do. Volunteer if you can. Certainly donate to a good cause if you can. If you can't, it's okay. Share our information on your platforms. Let's leverage the internet for good. Talk to your kids open and honestly. Let us truly come together. We have seen the effects of the devil all around us. And I'm going to be speaking up and out much more. I will be having in the coming year a much more of a presence in Washington, D.C. I am going to be fighting even harder for you, for our children, for our young adults, because not on my watch, not on your watch. Community creates change. Join us always. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure, because people are getting unsubscribed. And also when I look at analytics, I know it's a little boring, but when I see about 53% are subscribed, the others are just watching, we need to build numbers. We need to build community. We need to build power, and power comes in numbers. LynnsWarriors.org. Any questions, you can always write to me, Lynn@LynnsWarriors.org. We're going to fight this. We're going to win, because our precious children, our precious families, our precious country, we're not giving in to the devil. Remember, each and every day, go out and be a warrior.